Hey, welcome back. I'm Chadwick, and this is lesson 2 in my Find a Point series on how we do an advanced screen replacement using the Locator 3D. So we've got our scene all set up. We need our Locator 3Ds. The way those work, let's get some down here. So shift space, Locator 3D, is basically they need a camera. So I'm going to send the output of the camera 3D into the Locator 3D, and then the output of Locator 3D into the merge. I'm going to load the scene renderer into the viewer, and I don't see anything first. What you need to do is make sure your render type of the renderer is set to hardware render, and we need to turn this on so it's renderable. Basically, we need to see it in the output, the 2D output. So Locator 3D right now is not set to make renderable. We'll just turn that on. You can see as soon as I turn it on, we got like a crosshair. And that's what we're going to be using to line things up between two different frames where we see a point. The other thing I suggest you do, just make sure your camera settings is set to the canvas resolution of the entire frame. So this in particular is 4240. It should be, but that's also important. And then the next thing to do is to think about labeling these nodes, because we're going to be using a connect to expression to link later on. And so it's important to know which corner is which corner on the screen. So what I'll do is this Locator 3D, I'm going to hit F2 here, and we'll call this one screen left underscore top left. I'm going to start and go top left, top right, bottom left. This is the amazing one. That's the fact that you can actually get this precise location with this technique kind of still blows my mind. I'm going to hit OK. And now what I need to do is open up two viewers to sort of set this up. Thank you, Brian Morrissey, who's the first one I saw this, and Eric from Ion Fusion did this 16 years ago here on YouTube. But it's not talked about a lot, and I think it's so powerful. So I'm going to open up my two different viewers. So I've got my renderer down here, I've got my merge up here on the top, and I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see a little bit better what's going on. I will select my, basically, if you're not sure if you can move it or not, make sure you select the node. That should give you your on-screen widgets. And what I'm concerned with is I'm looking for a frame first to sort of align the camera direction to. And to do that, I'm looking for a frame, ideally, so I can copy and paste and do this as quick as possible. I'm looking for a frame, if there is one, where all corners of this screen down here are visible. And what I can do to try to find that is, let's just scrub along. Maybe, let's see, there's the bezels of the screen. I can see everything right here. So I'm going to call this one 1023 if you're following along at home. In fact, let's add a sticky here for 1023. I'm calling this basically my reference frame to when I'm freezing the camera off for these points. Okay, so 1023 is the frame I'm going to align this on, at least the XY positions. I'm selecting my Locator 3D for screen left, top left. I'm going to pick this up and move it. Now I can use the on-screen widget to do that, or come to the transform inspector controls and just work on moving the XY position. Basically, the first frame is going to be manually locating and positioning the XY, but we don't know the Z depth until we go to another frame. That's kind of the trick to this math here. So I'm just lining this up so that corner, viewing through the renderer here, is pretty well lined up. Now that's not too bad. Now the problem and the trick to all this is getting this point to face the camera. So if I hold Option and sort of drag around, that's just pointing straight out. I need it to point toward the camera for this trick to work. To do that, what you do is in the inspector, down here at the bottom where it says Use Target, check that, and we use an expression to basically link the offset position of the camera to this target. Basically, it says this locator is going to face the camera. So I'm going to right-click on the X position to do that, connect to camera 3D1, and because we're on X, we say X offset. And we're going to do that for Y and Z as well. So right-click on Y, connect to camera 3D1, Y offset. Same thing with Z. Right-click, connect to camera 3D1, Z offset. And you'll see that just straightened out there. And also, this is now pointing towards the camera. It's also including animation for every single keyframe of the camera, which we don't want. So if you've ever done camera projection where you like lock off a camera for one of the projections, this is kind of similar. What you do is you right-click under the word target and you say remove all from target group, which is still, it's on this frame on 1023, it's still facing there, but not on the other frames. This is going to allow me to just move the Z depth on another frame to find the actual Z position. Very simple to do. What you do is you use the on-screen widget to actually move that point though. So what I'm going to do is find any other frame. Ideally, it's further away from the frame you started on. So let's just choose this one here, 997 to do that. And then in the perspective view, I'm just using this blue widget to move it. Now because you know, it's facing towards the camera and the way the scene's aligned, you might come over here and use the top view to do it. So if I right click on the word perspective and I say top, now I can come over here and move this. So if I move just that blue widget, you can see I'm going to keep moving it until this point on this different frame is lining up to that corner. That's basically solved for, we've taken X, Y, and we've solved for Z, if you want to think in math terms, right? So now that point is stuck to that corner. That's kind of the trick. That's find the point. You basically, you find it on a frame, you make it look towards the camera, you turn off the animation of the camera, and then you move it on another frame using the Z widget, finds that location. So I'm going to rinse and repeat that for these other 4 points down here. Let's do the top right next. So I'm going to actually take this node right here, the top left, Command C, Command V, because it's already somewhat close. We can just build off of that. Rename it, of course. So when we connect it later on, we know where it came from. So that'll be top right for screen left. Now what I'm going to do is go back to my reference frame where we started everything from. You don't have to do this, but this makes it so I don't have to like freeze the camera again. And now I'll come to the transform controls for this other node. And let's see, let's just move that towards the right. Move it up. Move in really, really close on this, basically what's our reference frame, or what I'm calling my reference frame. And getting our X and Y positions in there pretty good. And now I come back and figure out what the Z position is on another frame. So if I go back to the first frame, you can see the Z position is not figured out yet. That's why I've got the on-screen widget. And I'm just sliding this into position. And because it's facing or oriented towards the target of the camera, that is now sticking and locked in. Let's keep going. So we'll take this one, Command C, Command V. I'll come back to my reference of 1023, the one where we sort of froze the camera off. Come to my inspectors. This is just concerned with the XY position here initially. You can see that I didn't actually need to change the X position. The Y position basically already was lined up. That's why it's nice to copy and paste. But the Z is probably wrong, or it could be wrong. It's actually not bad. So if I go to this other frame, looks like maybe it was a little bit off, so I'll just take this on-screen widget in my other viewer that's showing my top-down view to have that stick. Let's do it again. Actually, I forgot to rename it. Function, this is not top right anymore, this is bottom right, BR. Take this, Command C, Command V. Good idea to rename before you do anything else. This will be BL for bottom left. And controls, I'll start, actually go to the reference frame that we have it facing, which was 1023. Drag this all the way to the left. And again, the Y position is pretty much locked off, or pretty good position. And I'll go back to first frame. And this is the one that does not have, we can't use these controls on this one. So we use the on-screen widget to push this into place. Somewhere around there should be the correct position for that. And here's the beauty. Check this out. The chair goes in front, but because we have a solved camera that is basically used a ton of trackers, like hundreds of trackers, these points here are actually really stable. They don't like jitter a lot like a point tracker would. So when we go to use this with the corner positioner, you're not going to have a wobbly screen, and you are getting perspective. So how do you actually use these in a 2D comp? I'll show you really quickly, and then we'll finish it all up in the third lesson. So we've got those available. These locators have been basically published. We just need to make use of them. And we'll do that with, let's grab a corner positioner tool. The corner positioner needs an input, but basically the gist of how it works is you basically take the top left, top right, bottom right, and you take those positions, which are publishing themselves out in 2D coordinates, and we do the whole comp in 2D if you want. So top left, you right click on the corner positioner tool. You say connect to screen left, top left. You see why I labeled them TL? So position for that one. And then the next one, top right, connect to screen left, top right, position. Keep going. Bottom left, connect to screen left, bottom left, position. And bottom right, right click, connect to screen left, bottom right. And there is basically our corner pin that has been set up for us for 2D space. Now, you're not seeing the animation quite yet. I'll show you how simple it actually is to get down there. Let's grab a media pool. Here's a checkerboard that we can put on there. It is important that the resolutions match. So this resolution of this checkerboard here is 1920 by 1080. These positions are based off of that resolution that the locators live in, which is the plate resolution. So you do need to get your footage into a matching resolution. The easiest way to do, these are 16 by 9 monitors, is just if I hit resize, that will take the comp resolution and blow that up. So then I could take this, stick this into my corner positioner, and you can see we're getting that 2D animation. So if you want to just take this now, merge this over the top, certainly could. Background, foreground, merge. The most basic thing to do if you're working in Rec 709 is change this to screen, and that will get all that lighting through. You can see now we've got a perfect tracked perspective through the occlusion, which does need the roto and all that. And if you needed to have this, quickly to send out, you could magic mask this. But because we have this solved scene, the roto is not going to be that difficult. If you need to change out the media in that's in there, one trick a lot of people don't know is if you just select the node you want to overwrite, you take it from the media pool. Let's say we want this in there instead. If I hold shift, drag it on top of the other media in, it says, do I want to replace it? Yeah, sure. We've got our other asset that's in there ready to go. Real quick before I close, I want to give credit where credit's due. There's 3 different people that I've learned this technique from across the internet. One is Brian Morrissey. He has a channel called Profitless Media. It's a treasure trove of tracking tips, especially. That's linked down below. I would also check out Eric from Ion Software in the official original Fusion videos. He talked about the Locator 3D and the same method, as well as Lewis Saunders, who's I actually stole the terminology find a point from his video that he did on Flame using the camera tracker in Flame several years ago. But it's just to show, like, if you share valuable information, it's going to help us all grow. And because there is so much more to learn and we all want to keep growing, I'll see you in the next video.